not going to be showing on the weekends. Morrow is typing. You must be typing a lot. All right, while you're doing that, I'm going to get some other stuff ready here. I've been busier than I would like to, but I'll make my best to be there. Okay, cool. Now, because we have the class Saturday mornings, theoretically, you guys still have an entire weekend to work on these things. Theoretically. I don't know what your weekends are like, but I'm hoping that does give you enough time to get stuff done. It would just be a matter of you guys, getting the notes and then immediately starting to work. So I hope that works for you guys. All right. So the decision is we're keeping the class the same way it's always been. And that was more by default than by actual votes. So, so here's the Maya file. I pulled this out from the assignment folder, and you can see that there's already some animation on this diving board. I didn't put it there. So if you guys haven't started your shot yet, you may find that this is the same thing you run into. So what you want to do, you want to take the board, and there are bones in the board. These little things are bones. Okay, so if you open your outliner, you should be able to find the bones that control that board. There we go. If you click on this and you hold down the Shift key, it will open all the way to the very end. So if you select all these things and you go into the graph editor, you can see that these are the curves that have been animated. So I'm just going to select all those. I'm going to delete them. So there we go. Now we have a clean diving board. Now our shot camera will look like this, right? We're still working in an orthographic view. I'm just going in here because it makes it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. So what I wanted to discuss about this was the concept that we want this to be as interesting as possible, right? And we're going to pull in everything that we just discussed. Because to make this as interesting as possible, we want to combine elements of big, medium, and small, right? And we want to play with the staging such that it's a little bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to position my character here. I'm going to take my global control, and I'm going to use that global control to position him where I want him to start. Now, I'm imagining dividing this screen into thirds, and it looks like maybe this would be right about there. I don't know. So these green lines, that's my resolution gate on the camera. So that should be the final image size. See, I turned on the resolution gate. Okay. So maybe he scoots over a little bit more. I think that's about right. I think that lands him about on the third. And then looking at the framing of the diving board, I'm just going to move him up a little bit. Now this line is pretty much a third, and we've got about 2/3 of empty space up above. So this is just what I'm choosing to do. Now you guys can do something completely different. You could push him way back there if you wanted to. Whatever you want to do is fine. Okay, it's just I'm trying to do this because we just talked about it. So trying to employ those concepts. So if that's where our camera is going to be, I should have actually used my shot camera instead, which this is my shot camera. So looking at this, trying to eyeball it, I think that's about right. Now look at this. This curve sort of acts as an arrow, right? Kind of pulls our eye down towards where we want to start. And it's got this nice little third of emptiness on the side. So that's nice. It gives us 2/3 of the screen as acting space, and really just these upper 2/3, and then we have this lower third of emptiness, which we can deal with. So then, as we're planning out our animation, I would say take some time on this one and actually try to plan out a rhythm for this shot, okay? Because this particular kind of shot really can lend itself to this idea of rhythm within animation. Okay, and by that I mean, let's take, I'm going to create a sphere because I can't think of any other way to do this. Okay, where is it? There it is. All right, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to animate the visibility. I'm going to key select it. So right now it's on, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on and off. So it's going to go on every 8 frames. And the reason I'm doing this is because that's going to create a certain rhythm that we'll actually be able to see on screen. So every 8 frames we put it, you know what, I can do this a little more easily if I just take this. So every 8 frames, I'm middle mouse dragging, I'm just setting a key again. Middle mouse drag, set a key. Middle mouse drag, set a key. And what's the last one? 49 it should be. Okay, so that's all the ons, and then we just need the offs. So middle mouse drag, middle mouse drag, middle mouse drag, middle mouse drag, and there we go. So if I play this, now first of all, I'm going to set my playback speed to real-time max. Let's just set to real-time. Okay, so what this is doing, this is creating a visual rhythm. Every 8 frames, every 1/3 of a second, we're getting a blink. Now, we can use that to give us a pattern that we can either fit into or that we can break. Okay, so think about the concept we talked about, big, medium, and small. What can we do? Now, if you had an audio file, or if you guys are musically inclined at all, this idea of rhythm is something you guys are pretty familiar with if you're musically inclined. Yeah, every 12 frames is something like dot, 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 dot. Okay, so if you had a soundtrack and you had a beat like that, that'd be every 12 frames. So to add interest to that, think about how they do it in music. They go dot, 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 dot. Right? That's a different kind of musical beat, different kind of rhythm. We can do the same thing with our animation. In fact, we can use audio cues or we can use visual cues to do the same thing. Now, if this was our normal beat, what we're basing everything around, let's create a new. Well, no, let's not create something new. We'll use our character to kind of do something more interesting. So I'm going to use the bass in the head, just like we did on all the other shots. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to plan a few jumps. Okay, I know every 8 frames when that's going to be. So maybe I begin my jump, or maybe I begin with a pause. Let's say we begin the shot with a 16-frame pause. Okay, so he does nothing for 16 frames. And then maybe he anticipates. Now I'm going to just go down for 4 frames. And I'm going to keep this really simple. Okay, I'm not going to get into trying to make it look overly amazing or anything like that.